All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. We're going to get started with our prep class for the new command websites coming out on the 22nd. To get started, we're actually going to log into my KW rather than commands. We're going to start here because there's 4 things that you need to have done before the sites come out on the 22nd. The first one is to download any custom content that you have on your Playster site. The Playster sites are going to be going completely away. You're not going to have any access to them on the 22nd in favor of when the new sites come out. So we need to download that content, especially if you've created your own blog posts and created any custom pages. You put a lot of work into your site. You definitely want to download all of that so that you have that available to put into the new site once that ability becomes available. Now, I do say once that ability becomes available because there's very, very little that's going to be able to, at the beginning, come from the Playster site into the command site. There's going to be very, very little that goes into the command site at all. It's going to be very basic, and we'll cover more about what that means in just a little bit. So once you're logged into MyKW, it's the same MyKW you've always logged into. Up in the very top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, then click on KW Websites. And then on this page, if you have this red Go to My Website button, go ahead and click on that. That'll go over into the Playster interface. If you don't have that red button, you can skip this part. This part doesn't apply to you. You don't have a Playster site to download any content from, and you can't get one. They stopped making new Playster sites back in July. So if you've joined since roughly the middle of July, or your MLS ID was just added to the white pages since the middle of July, you're not going to get a Playster site. So there is no content for you to download. So if you don't have that red button, don't panic. There's nothing for you to download. You don't have to do anything there. It's one less step for you, one less thing to keep track of. If you do have that red button and you click on that Go to My Website, you should see this message right here. Action required. Your site is scheduled to be deleted on October 22nd, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's when the new sites are going to take over from Playster, apparently. So we can actually ignore this right here. Unless you want to keep your Playster site for a while to, evaluate the new command sites and see whether they're going to meet your needs as well as the Playster sites did. So if you do want to keep your Playster site for a little while, you do have that option. It's probably going to change the address of that Playster site. It's probably going to end in myrealestateplatform.com rather than kw.com. But if you have a custom domain, that's no big deal because you're going to keep the same custom domain like johnsmith.com or johnsmithsells.com or something like that. So if you do want to go ahead and upgrade and pay for keeping Playster for a while, I've been told recently, I used to think it was a contract, but I've been told recently that it is a month to month, and that's $60, well, $59.99 per month, and that's directly to Playster. So you click on that Upgrade Now button, and that would go over to Playster, and you'd be paying them directly. And we don't have any information about what that upgrade process is going to look like or what all comes with that package. It looks like you're keeping the same thing. But for more details, definitely contact Playster directly. If you don't want to upgrade right now, you don't want to keep the Playster site, or you're not sure whether you want to keep the Playster site, we can just click on this X up at the top right of this box to go into the Playster interface. So to download our Playster content, there's a couple of things we need to make sure of beforehand. So one is here on the dashboard, over on the left under Quick Actions, you want to click on Edit Site. And when you scroll down here under the More section, we're going to click on Custom Domain. And here in this Custom Domain section, if you have your own domain that you purchased through GoDaddy or 2Cows or something like that, and you've applied that domain to this site via domain mapping, that's the more search engine friendly way. What you're actually going to need to do temporarily is remove that. Actually, you know what? That's not even temporarily. What you're going to need to do is remove that custom domain from this section. So instead of, let's see. Let's pretend I have a custom domain here. This is Scott Leroy's domain, but I'm going to use that right here. So let's say I had a custom domain connected to my Playster site. I actually need to click remove over here on the right because we're going to be changing the way that custom domains are forwarding over to the Playster site later, so that when they automatically switch over to the new sites, they're going to automatically forward to the new site. So you don't have to change any settings after the new sites come out. You can get that ready beforehand and it'll automatically do it. You don't have to be scrambling on the 22nd. How do I re-forward my domain? This is how I'm going to show you. So here in the custom domain section, make sure to click remove, and then also remember to click save. You have to click that save in order to make sure that your domain is disconnected from your Playster site temporarily. We're going to reconnect it over on the site provider end in just a little bit. Or excuse me, on the domain provider end. Once you save that, up in the very top right, we're going to click on this grid of 9 squares, and in the menu that drops down, we'll click on Sites. And on this page, you should have a link that says download. Now, if you don't have this download link, it's probably because you haven't removed that custom domain from that custom domain section. That's what we've seen most often. That's the thing that blocks you from downloading your site content. So if you don't have this download link, you're going to have to go back to the edit site and back to the custom domain and remove that and save it in order to come here and download your site content. If you do have this link, when you click on that, it's going to download a zip file. And if you're using pretty much any recent operating system, it should have a utility built in for extracting the contents of that zip file. It's going to download it right here as export.zip. Now, what a zip file is it's multiple files and or folders shoved into one file so that it's easy to download or easy to send or something like that. So if you say you weren't going to use the new command sites and you wanted to have a third party design your own site and you wanted them to use the content from your Playster site onto that third party site, you would just send them this export.zip file. They would be able to open that up and get all the content that they need out of that and copy and paste it into whatever new third party site you've got. If you are going to be using the command site, I want to show you the contents of this, but you're actually not going to be able to put very much of it to use, at least at first. The new sites, like I said, are very limited, and most of the content on your Playster site is not going to have a spot on the command site. It may come later, but at the beginning on the 22nd, what we're hearing is it's not going to have anywhere else to put any content. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So once you've got your export.zip downloaded, we're going to right-click on that and extract all. And if you've got anything from Windows 7 to 8 to 8.1 to 10, it should have that option to extract all. If you have Mac, I believe it's had an extraction thing for even longer than Windows has. If you have before Windows 7, you may have to go download an extraction tool. I use 7-zip, 7-zip, and you can install that and it can extract these files as well. But if you're using a recent version of Windows, you have that extract all option. And let me drag this back up here. And it's asking you, where do you want these files to go once they're extracted? And you can usually leave whatever the default is here. It's basically going to put them in this downloads folder where my export file already is. And then I recommend unchecking this box that says show extracted files when complete. We don't need to open up a new window. We'll just open them in this existing window where we already have downloads open. So we'll click on extract. And now we're going to have a new folder named the same thing as the zip file, minus the zip part. So in this folder is going to be a series of text files. And we're going to start at the top. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and start at the bottom because there's some information you need to know in here. You're not really going to be able to put much of it to use, but you do need to know what's in this README file. So let's open up this readme.txt file. And that's going to open up in, if you're on Windows, on Notepad. If you're on Mac, I don't know what program exactly it's going to open in, but there should be a simple text editor that you'll be able to open this in. So when you open this up in Notepad, ooh, that's a little too big. Let me just drag this a little bit bigger here so it's easier to read. So it says these files contain the custom content and settings from your Playster site. The contents will be familiar to your new website vendor. Your new vendor will be able to assist you when migrating your site. Additional details for each file below. And what it contains in this file is anything that's been uploaded or added to your Playster site. So it's describing there's the images file that has links to all your images that you've uploaded, and you can download those. You've got a page for, a file for pages. You've got a file for blog posts and things like that. And we'll get into more of what those are in just a second when we open up each of those files. But this README basically says you or your new site vendor is responsible for getting everything into the new site. site. There's no automatic process that's going to automatically bring in any of your Play Store content anywhere. Nobody's going to have an automatic process that does that. So if you want to put any content from Play Store onto your new site, that is going to have to be manually done by you. SLM actually doesn't have an option for migrating any Play Store content just because of the sheer volume of the number of agents who would want to have that done. We just don't have the ability to do that. So if you do want to put, also the reason we don't have any ability to do that is because the site doesn't have the ability to accept any of that Play Store content. So if you want to move content from Play Store to the new site, you'll want to download this content and then keep it until the new site has somewhere to put it. Right now, it doesn't have very much anywhere to put it. So let's close this README file, and we're going to open up images up here at the top. And this is going to be a little bit different for each person. In fact, all these files are. In this images file, it's going to have links to any files that you've uploaded to the Play Store site. So it's going to have, if you've uploaded your picture, it's going to have a link to your picture, your logo if you've uploaded one, your slideshow files if you put any of those on there. If you added any images to any blog posts or any custom pages, it's going to have links to those. It's not going to download the actual files themselves here in this zip file or in this text file. What you would need to do instead is copy any of the links that are in that file, so Control-C to copy that, and you'll open a new tab in your browser and paste that in, and when you hit enter, it's going to go show you that image. And what you do from that point is right-click and either save image as or download image as or something like that. Anything other than copy or open, you want to save or download. You want to have this on your computer. So you go to save image as, and we're going to go ahead and put it in the downloads folder with the default name there. Save that. So now back in my downloads folder, if I go back there, I've got that image that I downloaded. That's the KW logo. If I had more images, I'd have to repeat that process over and over again for each and every single one of those images. So if there was another link down here underneath that, I'd have to highlight that, copy, go to my browser, paste it, hit enter, download that image. And if there was another link and another link and another link, there may be dozens of links here, you're going to need to do that one by one individually, manually. There's not a way to download all of those in one go. Once you've got your images downloaded, what did I do here? I clicked on the wrong thing. Once you've got those images downloaded, we're going to pretend there are more here. We can actually move them into our export folder. And that way, when the time comes to be able to put images onto the new site, maybe into blog posts or custom pages, we have those images together with all the text content that goes into those pages as well. You could even, if you wanted to, inside this folder, right-click and let's make a new folder, there we go, and just call it images. And you could put those images that you downloaded into that images folder inside the export folder. And if you're unfamiliar with how folders work, you may want to check out our Tech 00X class. It goes over the basics of working with folders and working with a computer in a general sense. If you need help learning how to use a computer, we do have a class for that. And if you send us an email, we can send you that link. Okay, so we just finished images. Let's come down here to options. This is going to show some basic options from the site info section inside Play Store. So it's going to show you the title, it's going to show the subtitle, it's going to show links to your social media if you put those in there. It's going to show the link to your logo. It's going to show any footer links that you had in there, especially like in Texas, links to your TREC forms. They're going to go show in this file as well. There's not a lot you're going to be able to use in this file, but you do have this information if you need to put it somewhere else. Next, we'll open page.txt. This is going to have each and every page on your site separated by these dashed lines here. So starting at the top here, I believe it's going to do these from ID highest to lowest. So we've got featured listings here. Yours is going to show something different probably at the top. And then under that, we've got local resources. And then under that, buyer resources. This order is going to be a little bit different for everybody, but it's going to show the same information. It's going to show the title, whether or not it's published. So if it was a draft, that means it's not live on your site. If it says publish, it is live on your site. I don't know why they don't have a date here in publish date. That doesn't make any sense. But it is going to show the last time that it was changed, and then it's going to show which template you chose when you were creating this page. More often than not, you're probably just going to have the page template. And then if you've put in any SEO titles or descriptions into these pages, it's going to show those as well. And then the last thing to show you here is if you have any content into the page, it's going to show that as HTML code here. So you see this caret right here, caret P, close caret, and then we've got caret/P, close caret, and then a new P right here. Those are some HTML tags. So if you were to put these into a third-party site, more than likely it would render these out just fine. It would just put these into different paragraphs, separate them with a line. Putting them into the command site, though, we're actually going to need to remove these HTML tags. And we'll talk more about that when we get over to actually setting up the command site so it's ready to go on the 22nd. But if you have any custom pages in there you've created, like a Meet the Team page or a value proposition page or our history page or something like that, and you've put in a bunch of content in there, you'll see that content in this section for that page. It says content, and then it has everything that was on that page. And you can copy and paste that if you have a page to put it into. Now, like I said, again, the command sites are not going to have very many pages to begin with. There's going to be very limited, and we'll get some more about that later. And then the last file here is post, very similar to the pages. It's going to show the title of any blog posts, the status of whether it's published or draft, the last time it was edited, and then any of the content that was put into that blog post. So again, if you've got a third-party site, you can more than likely just paste in this HTML code and it'll look just fine. But on the command sites, if we paste anything in, we are going to have to remove that HTML code, and we'll talk more about that later. And what it's not going to show here is any of the images that you, unless it might show the code for the images there, but you would want to go download those out of the images file. So that's downloading your content from your Playster site. Like I said, most of the content here is not going to have a place to go in the command sites just yet when they first come out. So you're going to want to archive this and store this and save this for once the Playster sites do get some more abilities in them, like creating your own custom pages or writing blogs. Viewer 23 says, everyone getting this. Is that a question for everyone else, or are you asking, does this apply to everyone? I'll keep going while I wait for that answer there. Okay, so that's it that we have to do for Playster. We need to make sure if you have a custom domain in there, that's removed from the custom domain section. We're going to be redoing some things in your domain registrar later to fix that. And then you also want to download your Playster content to be used later once you have that ability. Next, we are going to go into commands. So if you're not already, go ahead. No, you can't pause the live stream. That's not how a live stream works. It's live. There is no pause. But this is recorded, so you can go back and pause that recording at any point. So that'll be available hopefully within just a couple of hours, but at the latest tomorrow at slmtraining.com. Now, I did just do this class last week, and we covered all the same information. So if you want to quit the live stream and just go do that recording, that's already there at slmtraining.com. It's the same class, same content, same information. So if you're not already, go ahead and get logged into agent.kw.com. And once you're on your command homepage, up in the very top right, you're going to click on your name. And then in the menu that drops down, we're going to go to Settings. Once we're on our Settings page in Command, over on the left under Connect Settings, we're going to click on Connect Settings to drop this menu down. And there's only one item here. It's the marketing profile. So we'll click on that. We want to make sure this profile is filled out as much as possible because the information in here is automatically going to populate over on the new website once that comes out. So we want to make sure our information is in here as well as possible. Starting at the top here with your photo and your team logo, the photo is required. The logo is not necessarily required. But I do want to point out this recommended size here of 360 by 360 pixels. The main thing to know here is it does not need to be exactly those numbers. The main thing to take away is you want it to be square. You want it to be the same height-wise as width. And you also want it to be under 1 megabyte here. So if your image is like 500 by 500, more than likely that's going to be just fine. If you get up to roughly 1,000 by 1,000, that may put you over that 1 megabyte limit there. So you may want to shrink that down maybe to the 500 by 500. That's bigger than the recommended size, so if it gets shrunk down, nothing bad's going to happen. If you have smaller than 360 by 360, say you have like 200 by 200, in some places it may be blown up and it might get pixelated and blurry. So if you want to go a little bit bigger than the recommendation, do about 500 on each side, that's probably a good idea. And the same down here for the logo. And the reason you want this to be square is that often, not all the time, but often it is going to display in a circle, whether it's on a marketing material or on the new site. More often than not, it's going to show in a circle. So a square fits best inside a circle, and the circle is going to crop out whatever edges don't fit around, or excuse me, inside that circle. So one thing to recommend here for your headshot, see how Scott's head is a little bit higher than center here? If it was much higher, it would start cutting off his forehead. So when you're cropping your picture down to be square, you want to put your head more towards the center so that when it shows in the circle, it's not cutting off your forehead. Now, if you need help doing that, unfortunately, we don't really have a service or a video showing how to do that. We haven't found a simple way to show how to do that. So you may want to ask somebody who's a little more familiar with photo editing software in your market center to get this cropped for you. Or you may want to send off to Fiverr or something and they can crop it into a square for you. Same with the logo there. And then anything with a red asterisk, and it's not letting me highlight this, but anything with a red asterisk is also required as we move down. More information on top of what's required is always better, but you have to have something in the red asterisk field. So first and last name, really simple. License number, this is only required in a handful of states. California and New York specifically come to mind. I think there is one more other state. But if you are in California or New York, you do have to put your DRE number legally on any marketing materials or websites. So if you're in one of those, what are they called, states, make sure to put your DRE number here. And I believe in California, you have to denote that it is the California DRE number. So we're going to do like CA DRE number and then whatever your number is. In New York, you just put DRE number and that's okay. But anywhere else, you're not required to, but it's probably a good idea to go ahead and put your license number on there, just in case somebody wants to look up your license in public record, they can do that. If you have a team or you're on a team, you're welcome to put your team name there. Any designations that you've earned here, like CRS, GDPE, CIPS, any of those acronyms that are really hard to pronounce, you can put those in here, and you can do those separated by a comma. Now, one thing to point out is if you're very, very accomplished and you've got like a dozen or more of these designations, you may want to stick to maybe the most important ones, because the longer this gets, the more you run into the risk of it maybe being cut off somewhere or taking up too much space, maybe on a marketing material or something like that, and pushing other things out of whack. So you want to focus on what's most important here, probably your realtor designation. If you're in certain states like California or New York, you have to put in your, licensed real estate salesperson or something like that, or licensed real estate broker. You can put that in this section as well. And then GRE or CRS, those big ones, you probably want to be toward the front. Underneath that, we've got a biography here. You can just copy and paste your biography from elsewhere here into here. You can copy and paste that from the Playster site, which let's go ahead and show what that would look like here. So we're going to go back to where we downloaded our Playster content, and we're going to open the page.txt file. And we're going to scroll down to where it shows us the About page. This is where your biography would have been on the Playster site. So we're going to highlight the content here. We're going to do everything after content, right-click and copy that, and then come here into the biography, right-click and paste that. Now it's going to paste it with those HTML tags. And unfortunately, we're going to have to manually one by one remove each and every one of those because when this shows on the site, it is going to include those tags. They're going to be visible. It's not going to render them out to show the way a web page normally would. So we have to remove those. Anytime you see this /P and then an opening P, that is a line break. So we're going to hit enter there to separate out a new, paragraph. Same for here. We're going to hit enter there to open up a new paragraph. Enter here, open up a new paragraph. And we've got this last P at the end that we need to get rid of. If this was too fast, again, we have the recording, last week's class and this week's class, so you can go back over that at any point. Excuse me. Dropping underneath the biography here, we've got mobile phone and office phone. Those are both required. I'm not sure why they have different required fields for that. More often than not, your mobile phone is your office phone, so you can have the same number in both. But if you do have a desk phone with an extension or something like that, you could put that over here in office phone. Fax is optional. Email, funnily enough, is optional as well. We recommend putting your email in there, but it is optional. And then for a website here, it wants the full HTTPS : blah, 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 everything that goes with the website address. So if you've bought your custom domain through GoDaddy or something right there, you'd need to put in that full HTTPS : www.mycustomdomain.com, whatever it is. And we do recommend putting in the S here because there have been a couple of glitches later on in the Kelly guide that we're going to go through where it doesn't save things, if that S is missing. So we recommend doing that there. Now, if you don't have a custom domain and all you have is your Playster address, that's just fine. You just do the HTTPS : whatever it is, .kw.com. And you can just leave that in that box, and that'll just show on any marketing materials. Under that, for DBA logo, this is where your Market Center's logo goes. Again, this wants to be square. You want it to be roughly 360 by 360, but any square dimensions under 1 megabyte should be fine. If you need help getting this logo, your Market Center should be able to help you with that, and you can upload that in this spot. This logo is not required, but the name and address of your Market Center is. And this name for your Market Center, more often than not, is going to be required to be the actual registered DBA name that your Market Center operates under. So Keller Williams Realty, Integrity, or Keller Williams Realty Little Rock, or whatever your Market Center's official name is, you want to put that in this box here. And you can get that from your Market Center leadership. And then street address, city, state, and zip from your Market Center. You can find that, kind of anywhere. And then if you happen to know or get your brokerage license number, not the broker's number, that's not the individual, the one for the whole office, you can put that in this box here. It's not required, but it's a good thing to have in there. And then down here for legal footer, I think it's going to automatically put this each office is independently owned and operated on the site, but just in case it doesn't, it's a good place to put that. Also, say you're in one of those market centers that says you have to have a link to this lender's profile or this other company's profile in the footer on your site, you can put those links in here. Now, the thing to note is that it does have to be regular old plain text links. You can't put in any HTML code here either. So, preferred lender profile, and you would do the full, HTTPS : xyzlender.com/Brad. We're going to call our agent Brad there. And so you'd put it in that way. You would have it regular old text, and people can click on that or highlight it once they see it on the site or your marketing materials. Under that, we've got links for our social media profiles there, and I'm surprised I didn't already have this pulled up. We have a video that shows you exactly, click by click, item by item, how to get exactly what goes in these boxes here, and I'm going to go look that up here. I'm sending that over to you guys in the chat window here. So if you need help finding the links that go into these boxes for your social media, this class will show you exactly how to get those. And you just copy and paste directly into these boxes, including the HTTPS. That's another one where we're running into some issues on the Kelly guide that we're going to go through in a minute, and it doesn't save things if that S is missing. So if you do have social media links in there, you do have to have that S in there. Under that, if you're running Facebook ads and you want your pixel ID on your site to track traffic from Facebook to your site, and it's going to track who is clicking on your Facebook ad links going into your site, you can put your pixel ID in there. If you need help getting this added, if you would just send your entire pixel code, when you set up pixel, it's going to give you a big long HTML snippet. If you would just copy and paste that into the body of an email and send it over to us and include your command username and password, we can get that pasted in there. If you want to try to do it yourself, it's a 15-digit number. There's no letters in this number, and it's going to say something about ID and then an open quote and then the 15 digits and then a close quote. So if you can find that, you can just paste that in there. For Google Analytics, you would go to analytics.google.com and set up your profile using your expected site address, which we'll get to in just a little bit. And it's going to generate an ID for you that starts with UA dash number dash number. You would just copy and paste that whole code and paste it here into this box. Again, if this is something you need help with, we actually have a form for this on our site. If you'll go to scottleroymarketing.com/support, you do the Google Analytics setup one, and we would get that taken care of for you. And then down here for your app link, you can get this from MyKW if you don't already know your app link. So we're going to go back over to this tab that has MyKW open and go back to the MyKW homepage. And here on the homepage inside the eEdge control panel, next to where it says My Marketing, we'll click this plus sign there, and it's going to drop down this menu, and you'll click on Manage eAgency Website. Now, don't get hung up on that website word. This is an old site that was retired about 3.5 years ago. It's not functional, doesn't work, it doesn't show anywhere if it's set up correctly. So you don't have to worry anything about this site. Forget it exists, except for the fact that currently the KW app is administered through this interface. So when you click on that eAgency website link there, I'm not going to be able to show you that because Scott doesn't have access to it, but I can talk you through it really easily. On the left, you're going to have section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. If you'll click on section 4, it's going to drop down some options under that. You're going to click on section 4.5, mobile property search. And on that page, on the right side, if it's not already selected, in the drop down near the top, select the name of your market center. And underneath that, it's going to give you your app link. And it's going to be in the format http://app.kw.com/kw, and then the rest of your code. This part right here is unique to you. Each and every individual agent has a different code that goes in this spot. So yours is not going to match mine, and mine is not going to match anybody else's. And this is actually not even my link. I have no idea who this goes to. But when you copy and paste that link, you're going to paste the whole thing in here. This is one that doesn't want the S right here after HTTP. Everything else does, but here on the app, if you put that S in there, that link is not going to work properly. So we want to leave that out. Once we've got all our information into our profile here, you want to make sure to click Save down here at the bottom so that that can be automatically populated into the site when we move over to the next section. This is going to be section 3 of 4. So to get to the next section, after you save this profile, it's going to take you back up to the top of the page and pop up a box that says your profile's been saved. Or if something's wrong, it'll give you an error and it'll show you a message next to whichever one has the error in it. Once you get that saved, you're going to go over here on the left and you're going to click on, it's either going to say Sites or Landing Pages here on the left. I don't know what the distinction is between why certain people it says Sites and other people it says Landing Pages, but it's going to go to the same place. It's the second to the last option here over on the left menu. If I click on this KW logo here, you'll be able to see some text associated with those. We're going to go to this list, second to last one here. So where we are here is we're going to start, or it's going to take us to, by default, the landing pages section. If you created landing pages that you've used with any marketing materials or campaigns, you're going to see that list here. What we need to do is go over here to Agent Site Pages. It's the second option here instead of Neighborhood Pages. We're going to go to Agent Site Pages. And on this page, we need to scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to click on this link that says Learn More with Kelly Guides. This is going to walk us through step by step, item by item, line by line, everything that's possible to do to get the site set up for when it launches on the 22nd. This is everything that's possible to do except for one last thing that we're going to cover at the end. So we'll click on this link. It's going to take us into the guide for how to do that. And it's going to take a minute. There we go. So what should I expect to get out of this guide? You're going to choose your subdomain if you haven't already had one set in Playster. You're going to choose how your site is going to look and feel, and then you're going to create the basic pages that are going to come with the site. Now, the site is only going to have either 4 or 5 pages. That's it. No more, no less. You're going to have 4 pages if you're not the lead agent on a team, and 5 if you are the lead agent on a team. Viewer 253, if you have a third-party site not through Playster, this is not applicable for you. If you're going to continue using that third-party site and you're not going to use the command site when it comes out on the 22nd, this class doesn't have anything to do with you. You could watch the recording later if you felt like it, but if you're going to continue using that third-party site instead of the command site on the 22nd, you don't have to stay here. You're good to go. Where was I going? So if you're not the lead agent on a team, you're going to have a home page, an about page, a contact page, and a value proposition page, or it's going to call it a company profile by default. That's it. That's all you're going to have on the site to begin with. You're not going to be able to blog. You're not going to be able to create any custom pages. You're not going to have a current or former listings. You're not going to have testimonials. You're not going to have meet the team, anything like that if you're not the lead agent on a team. If you are the lead agent on a team, you're going to have those same 4 pages, and then you have the option of adding a meet the team page that's going to list everybody that's on your team. And that's it. You're not going to be able to create, at least at first, any custom pages. So what we set up here in Kelly, that's it. That's all that's going to be available on the 22nd. Eventually, you're going to have more leeway in putting pages on your site. But at the beginning, it's either going to be 4 or 5 pages, depending on whether or not you're the lead agent. So we'll click on Get Started here. So on this first page, the first thing I want to point out is over here on the right, say you haven't changed anything. You haven't changed anything in this box here that says your subdomain. You've made no changes here. And you go over here to claim domain, and it gives you this stop sign. It says you can't click on it. You can't claim this domain. That is good. You want that. That's what's supposed to happen. This is correct. Yes, whatever positive affirmation you want, this is good. You want this. That means that you've already set up your Playster site, and it already has the domain in there, the one that ends in .kw.com, and whatever is currently in Playster is automatically on the 22nd going to come over here to command. So you don't have to claim a domain. You can actually skip past this step and scroll down to the bottom and do save and continue. If you do have the option to click claim domain here, that means that you don't have a Playster site and it has not automatically claimed a domain for you. So you'd want to choose what you want that beginning part to be here in this box and then click on Claim Domain. Now, if you don't want to keep the same Playster domain here in the command site when it switches over, you're actually going to want to go back to Playster, back to that custom domain spot we talked about earlier, and change it in there so that it'll automatically change over to the command site. You'd have to come back here to the Kelly guide. You could try choosing a different domain here without going back and changing Playster, but I can't guarantee you would actually get the domain that you choose here on this page. The safest bet is if you have a Playster site and you want a different address than Playster is currently, go change it in Playster, and then it'll automatically take it over here to command. If you don't have a Playster site, you can choose your domain in this box. The main things you want to stay away from is realtor, realty, real estate, or agent. Those are requirements either from KW International or from the National Association of Realtors that you're not allowed to have in your domain because they're licensed terms, or it makes you sound like you are a broker when you're not, or that you are a brokerage when you're not. So if you have something, if you choose something that has one of those terms in there, it'll allow you to. The system is not going to keep you from using any of those terms, but if you do in the future, either KW International or NAR or your governing body for your state could get you in trouble for having those terms in there. So I'm very strongly recommending do not use realtor, realty, real estate, or agent in your custom domain. What you might want to do is say your last name is Smith, just for funsies. You could do Smith Simply Sells. That's a really easy thing to remember, smithsimplysells.kw.com. Or you could just do your name, johnsmith.kw.com. Or if there are, there's a lot of John Smith, so you could do john-smith.kw.com. There are some restrictions to what's allowed to go in this box down here. It's maximum 30 characters, anywhere from 1 to 30 characters. You can't have any spaces in there, and then no special characters. Now, special characters excludes dash and underscore. You can't have any dots, but like the @ symbol or the and symbol or the $ or any of that, it's not going to allow those. You can only have dash or underscore as anything but numbers or letters here. So, more than likely, you're going to want to use something to do with your name or maybe your team's name if you're the lead agent. But if you have a team, more than likely, you've got a custom domain. And we're going to talk about that custom domain in a little while, and you can put whatever you want to in this box here. Once you've got something that's available, it's going to give you the option over here to claim domain, and that would become your domain when the site launches on the 22nd. And until then, it's not going to allow anybody else to have that domain if they were here in this same spot. I'm going to change this back to Scott Leroy. marketing, and it's going to tell me, no, I can't claim that because it's already claimed by me or by Scott. So that's good. If you came in here, you haven't made any changes, and it won't let you claim it. That's good. Underneath that, here in marketing profile information, we want to double check that this information is good, because in a couple of cases, if there's something wrong in here, when you click on save and continue, it's going to give you an error and it's not going to let you continue. So make sure your name is good. Make sure the address of your market center is good, team name. Your job title here, for some reason, doesn't come over from your profile that does it, or excuse me, what was that? I don't remember what that was called, but for job title here, you'll probably want to put in like realtor, or if you're in New York, you'll want to do that licensed real estate salesperson or licensed real estate broker. Whatever's required of you in your state, you can put in this box. I'm just going to do and realtor. There we go. It's going to auto-complete that for me. So we can put that in here. Check your email, check your phone number, check your biography. This should have automatically come over from that marketing profile we took care of a few minutes ago. And then there's your legal footer information. And then down here, if you're in Texas especially, and you want to have links to your information about brokerage services and your consumer protection notice, this is where you're going to do that. So you'd put in like Texas Real Estate Commission, oops, 2 S's. So you put the text, and then you put the link that you want applied to that text in the second box. So it would be like HTTPS, images.marketleader.com/ blah, 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 whatever it is. And you can get that link from your current site or from your email signature if it's already in there. You just right click on that, copy link or copy address or copy location or something like that. You can just copy that link and paste it here into this box. And you can add an additional link for the information about brokerage services or any other things that you want to have linked in the footer of your website. I'm going to delete this second one here because we don't really want that there. And then down here in the imagery section, this should automatically, again, pull over from that marketing profile here. There's a couple of things to keep an eye out for that may cause an error here. One is if we go to save and continue and we haven't changed these images at all, first thing to try is just re-uploading your headshot. The logos down here aren't necessarily going to need to be re-uploaded, but for your headshot, it may tell you that required information is missing. This is what it means. So you may want to re-upload your headshot in this spot. If you do that and you try to save and continue and it still doesn't allow you to go through, you want to make sure that your headshot and your logos are square, the same in both dimensions when you upload them here in this spot. And then it should let you save and continue. If you try both of those things and it's still not letting you through, you're going to want to contact KW International Support directly. And you can do that from command. Up in the very top right, you click on that question mark in the circle, and then there's an option to start a chat with KW International Support. That's the quickest way to reach them. Once we got all the information correct on here and we've re-uploaded anything that we need to do, we'll click on Save and Continue to move forward. What we're choosing on this page is the style and theme. So we're choosing what the site is going to look like. This is very, very basic, minute, small changes that we're going to be able to make. You're basically choosing, are the accents going to be KW red? Or are the accents going to be this gray color? That's it. That's all you get to choose. You don't get to choose the layout. You don't get to drag and drop things around. You don't get to add things to your homepage. You don't get to add widgets. You don't get to move the search bar down, anything like that. You're just choosing the color that the accents are going to be and then the content of the homepage. So this homepage text right here, your home search starts here. It's going to show that over here on the left. We could change this to search for your dream home, something like that. And it's going to automatically preview it over here on the left. You can put kind of anything you want to in this box. If you delete it, I believe it will allow you to leave it blank if you want to, but I would recommend go ahead and put something there that invites people to search, like start your home search here, something like that. And then under that, we've got where we're uploading the homepage hero image. And what that means is this image back here behind the search bar. You can upload up to 5 images here, and you can use any of these 5 that are pre-loaded with the site. You can just leave these as they are, or you can upload your own images, up to 5 images. This is kind of similar to the slideshow on the homepage of the Playster site, but it's kind of not. The way this would work is instead of it sliding through all 5 of these every couple of seconds, like it does on the Playster site, instead, each time the page is loaded, it would show a different one of these images here. So when I load this page the first time, it's going to show me this aerial view of the houses. And then if I go away and I come back to the home page, it may show me this front porch view. And if I go away and I come back to the home page again, it may show me this entranceway view and things like that. Now, you can delete all but one of these so that you have just one image that shows all the time. You're welcome to do that. It's your site. What was I trying to say? Or you could do like a picture of your team. You could do the same picture for all 5 spots if you want to have, that's the same thing as having just one image. You could alternate between 2 pictures of your team or your team and your logo and maybe a listing or something like that. Any 5 images. It does recommend that they be roughly 1200 by 1200. Again, that's square. That's the same in both dimensions, but this is going to be a good bit bigger than your headshot or your logo or anything else that we've uploaded so far, because it is going to go all the way across the full width of your site. And that's going to be pretty big depending on the size of the monitor that somebody's viewing this in. Now, speaking of the size of the monitor, say you do put a picture of your team here, and say there's like 6 or 8 of you, and it's got your heads up here, and it's got your logo down here, and you can see very clearly over the top of the search bar everybody's heads and everything on a computer, on the desktop preview right here. That's not a guarantee that it's going to look exactly the same if someone pulls up your website on their phone. It may shrink it down and maybe cut it off like here and maybe over here and make the search bar narrower. And so if there's anybody over here or anybody over here, you might not be able to see them if they're viewing the site on the phone. So just keep things in mind like that. Test it out on your phone once the site becomes live and play with your images that way. Now, I can almost guarantee, unless you're working with a really, really experienced designer, I can almost guarantee no one image, if it's really custom and you want it to look a certain way, no one image is more than likely going to look very good on every platform. It's always going to look different on a computer versus a tablet versus a phone. Those are the big things. But say somebody was looking on a smart TV, it would look different on that. So there's a little bit of give and take and some acceptance that you're going to have to do that you don't have pixel perfect control over the way this image looks on every device. Again, 1200 by 1200, it doesn't give us a file size limit. So if you wanted to do like 5000 by 5000, you could do that. I think it would accept it. However, the bigger your image is, the longer it's going to take your homepage to load. And long loading times is one of the main things that people say, I don't want to deal with this site, and they click the back button. So you want it to be probably pretty close to that 1200 by 1200 so that it loads as quickly as possible. Once you've got your images uploaded there or removed if you want to, you can click that trash can icon to remove them. You'll click on Save and Continue down here at the bottom. So what we're choosing here is the value proposition page, or it's going to say company profile by default. Where are we? Yeah, it's going to say company profile by default. And where are we? Okay, search engine optimization is the first thing we're going to see here. This is choosing what's going to show on search engine results if this page shows up in search engine results. This is not the home page. This is a separate page within the site. So this would be another one that they'd click on in the menu. It says company profile, but the best way I have to describe it is a value proposition. Why should you hire me, or why should you hire my team for your real estate needs? And you're going to expound on that on this page here. So here in the search engine fields, you're choosing the blue link that's going to show on search engine results, and then the gray text that shows underneath that blue link and the address of this page. So starting here with page title, say I were to go to Google and search for Scott Leroy Marketing, why hire us, or why hire me, or something like that. It would show this page, because that's what's on the content of the page here. It's going to show this page in the search engine results, and this right here where it says value proposition is going to be the blue text that you'd actually click on to go to this page. So you can make that whatever you want. I do want to point out, if you change this, it's not going to be an immediate change for when it shows up on search engines. Your site is not that important. Google doesn't care about your site as much as it cares about Facebook, or it cares about Twitter or Instagram or any of of those big sites. So it's going to take roughly 3-ish weeks for any changes you make to your search engine stuff on your site to show up, excuse me, on search engine results. So if you change this from value proposition or from company profile to value proposition, you're not going to be able to go over to Google and find where it says value proposition. That's going to take 3 or more weeks to happen. So search engine is kind of a long game. Under that, we're choosing the address of this page. So it's going to be, scottleroymarketing.kw.com / whatever you put in this box here. So I've got value proposition. You could say like y-hire-us. You could leave it as company profile. I think that's what's in there by default. I like value proposition, something like that. And that's easy to remember if anybody wanted to come back to this page or you wanted to link to it on something, maybe on a marketing material or an email or something. It's easy to remember. You can just copy and paste that into that. And then down here for SEO description, this is that gray text that shows underneath the blue link if you were to show up on a search engine, Google being Yahoo. So this is going to be read by real live people, real human beings. It's not just Google that's going to see this information. It's going to be actual people. So this is the only time I'm going to say this, this is not the place to put tag, comma, tag, comma, tag, comma, tag, comma, tag, comma, meta tags. Those fell out of fashion 10 or more years ago. Nobody uses those. Google doesn't care about those. Instead, you want this to be a helpful, human-readable description of what people are going to find on this page before they even click on it. They want to see this description in that search engine result. So learn why Scott Leroy Marketing is your best choice for your real estate transaction, whether buying or selling, something like that. And you've got roughly, I forgot to cover a couple of numbers here. For the page title, that blue link, you've got roughly 55 characters, give or take 1 or 2, depending on the search engine that you're using, before it truncates it into a ... So if I did, value proposition and then why you should hire Scott Leroy Marketing because blah, blah, blah. If I did that whole thing in there, roughly right about here where it starts going out of the box, on the search engine, it's going to turn it into ... Nobody's going to see what's after this point. Same here for the SEO description, except it's 155 characters versus 55 characters in this box here. So you want important information to be up toward the front. Coming down here into the content section, we've got our intro paragraph. I went down a little further. So for content, we've got our page header, which is this right here, why hire us? And it's going to have our intro paragraph here in this spot. And that's up to 250 characters. This is why you should hire us in 250 characters or less, something like that. And it's going to show here in this spot. And you can change these at any point. You can also change this header image here. This is a downtown area, I'm guessing in Austin, never been there, but you can change this image right here also. You could change it to your team picture, you could change it to a listing that you've got or had in the past or something like that. And you would do that right here. And it does recommend a size of 2,000 by 500. So scaling that down, that's roughly 4 times as wide, or exactly 4 times as wide as it is tall. It wants a lot wider than tall versus the square that we've worked with so far on the site. Under that, for the section 1 headline, that's this right here. So we're going to call this like section 1, or you could talk about our past or our record or our experience or something like that. I'm going to do that, our experience. And then you've got up to 500 characters. That's going to go right here. So we have 40 plus years of real estate experience, and I have 500 characters to tell you so. Something like that. Don't do exactly that. I'm just using that to fill space. And then you can change this image right here, and you would upload that in this spot. That's another one that wants to be square. It doesn't tell us we have a file size restriction, but 360 by 360 or 500 by 500, something around that range you could upload in this spot right here. Under that, we've got our section 2 here. So I would call this maybe our tools, something like that. we work with the largest pool of real estate agents in the company to make sure your listing gets maximum exposure going on for 500 characters. Something like that. And then you can change this image here. And it's another one that wants it square, roughly 360 by 360. And you would upload that in that spot. And then down here for this footer section, for the footer title, you could do something like the bottom line or so that's the only thing I could think of. So the bottom line. I'm going to leave out the exclamation mark. And then you've got, I don't know how many characters this is, but probably about 250 characters to summarize what was above that on the page, your tools and your experience and why people should hire you. And then we're going to click continue down at the bottom right to move on to the next page. So we've taken care of the home page. We've taken care of the company profile or value proposition page. Next, we're going to go to the about page. By the way, I didn't cover this on the last page, this navigation, because all you're doing is rearranging the order of these pages as they show in the menu of the site. And I'm not sure where that menu is going to go. It doesn't show me up here. So you're going to have, maybe about me first and then contact us and company profile, or you can have that. It's up to you how you want to have that. But those are your only options. You have 3 options to move around there. That's it. Period. End of story. Down here for SEO, we've got the same options as we did on the value proposition page. You're choosing the blue text that's going to show in the search engine result. You're choosing the address of what this page is going to be. You could do about dash and then your name, or about dash the dash team or something like that. I typically recommend just doing about all by itself because that is a fairly standard thing across the internet. suchandsuch.com/about, and that's going to get you to somebody's about page more often than not. So that is a good standard to stick to. I recommend that, but you can put anything you want in this box. And then again, you've got that gray description that's going to show under the blue link in those search engine results. So you got roughly 155 characters to put in this box here. Under that, we've got our content. So starting at the top here, we've got about me. That's this header right here. We could change this to like about Scott, or about your team name, or about your lead agent's name, whatever. Your title here. So we've got digital marketer at Scott Leroy Marketing. You could put realtor. You could put lead agent. You could put listing specialist. If this is your own individual site, things like that. Bio title, this is this right here, get to know Scott, learn all about Scott, things like that. And then you've got your biography spot right here. My understanding was this was supposed to come over from the marketing profile, but it looks like that's not what's happening. So you could just copy and paste your biography here into this spot. For this contact title, you're choosing what this wording is right here. So you could say always available, contact us anytime, available 24/7. I really hope you're not available 24/7, but you could do something like that, or reach out to us or something like that. And it's going to show your phone number and show your email address. The Playster sites didn't have a spot to show your email address to protect you from spam. I hope the command sites are doing something to protect you from spam by showing your email address in plain text on the site. If not, you're going to get a lot more spam. Once you got this content fixed up here, we'll click continue. And now lastly, we're going to work on the contact page. So again, we've got the same search engine options. You're choosing that blue text, you're choosing that gray text, and you're choosing the address of the page. You could do contact dash your name, contact dash the team name, contact so-and-so. This is another one where I would recommend this standard just contact, because almost anywhere you go, say you went to apple.com/contact, you'd end up on a contact page. Now, I can't guarantee that's exactly how Apple does it, but it's a fairly standard thing, just like the about page. You want just have contact or you just have about, and you're going to end up at those respective pages. Down here in content, we've got our page header here, which is contact us, this spot right here. Intro paragraph, I'm guessing you've got roughly 250 characters here. Feel free to reach out to us and we can help you out immediately. Or, we always respond via phone or email in less than 10 minutes. Something like that. And you do want to keep that promise if you make that promise. Message hint that it's looking for here is going to be this placeholder text that's here in this box. And as soon as someone starts typing, that placeholder text is going to disappear. So it's whatever they want to type after that. It's going to show your phone number down here at the bottom left and your email address down here at the bottom right. You cannot customize the fields that show on this page when someone wants to contact you. They have to do first name. Actually, I don't know whether these are required. It doesn't say anything about required, but I'm going to guess that either first name and maybe email address are required, and then the message, of course. But it doesn't say that here. That's just a guess. So now we'll save and continue. And that's it. That's the whole Kelly guide. That's everything to set up the site. That's all you can do to put content on the site right now. So all those images you potentially downloaded from Playstore, all those blog posts, all those custom pages, they don't have anywhere to go right now unless you are the lead agent on a team. So to do that, we're actually going to go here to Manage Sites. This is that 5th page that I was talking about if you are the lead agent on a team. If you're not the lead agent, this isn't going to work for you. You could go try to set it up, but it's not going to work for you. And if you're not on a team, it's definitely not going to work for you. So where we are here is on the Agent Site Pages page here. This is where we found that Kelly Guide link. Up at the top right, we're going to click on our plus sign for create a new site. And this is to create that Meet the Team page. And this is going to be on my agent site, and we'll create page. Okay. And so up here in the top left, we could change this to Meet, the Team. And then I'm just going to put the date here. Today's the 8th, 9th. There we go. Just to have that to distinguish it when we go later. When I come back to this later. And then over here under widgets, which is going to be open by default, you do have this team spot here. You could try to put these other things in here, but they're not actually going to work. You could put this testimonial list in here and try to configure that widget. We'll click on that here, and you could put in a headline and some intro text, but there are no testimonials. There's nowhere to put them in. We don't know where these would be pulling from, so there is no content here. So I'm instead going to get rid of this widget. And the only one that actually works right now, we don't have to have an agent profile. We don't have to have a contact form. We don't have to have a company profile because those are already on the site. This is the About page, Contact, Value Proposition. The only additional option we have right now is this team. So we're going to drag this over into the page here. And this is a preview of what it would look like if we had team members here. And we would go down here to configure widgets to choose the team members that go on here. So we click on that. We click on team here. And if you were a member of a team, you would select that team in this dropdown. Scott is not a member of a team, so I don't have that option there. But if you are the lead agent, sorry, not a member, the lead agent on a team, you would be able to select your team here. And if your team members had their marketing profiles, that was the first thing that we did here in Command. If they have their marketing profiles filled out completely, it's going to show their picture, their phone number, their email address here. I don't know whether you'll be able to rearrange these, maybe to have the lead agent first or something like that, because I don't have any access to it. So if anybody's the lead agent on a team and you are able to work with that, definitely let us know. We'd like to have more information about this if we can. Once you've got this set up the way that you want, by the way, it does tell you this intro text right here is roughly 200 characters. That's what would be in this box here. And then once you've got all that set up, you would save and apply. Now it's going to give me an error here because team must be selected. I don't have a team to select. But once you save and apply that, you would go up here to save changes. And theoretically, that would add this page to your command site when it launches. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't see any settings to like choose the address or anything like that, but we'll see if that happens when the site gets launched on the 22nd. So we've covered so far downloading your Playstore content, filling out your marketing profile, and going through the Kelly guide to get the site set up and ready to go. The last thing we're going to cover is how to change the domain forwarding for your custom domain to automatically go from the Playstore site where it is currently over to the command site on the 22nd when that site launches. So it'll be an automatic process. You don't have to change any settings there on the 21st or the 22nd. You can do this beforehand and have it ready to go. So I'm going to, let me find a GoDaddy one here. Go to godaddy.com. Just going to grab this one, this Victor guy. Go sign in here at GoDaddy. Yes, sign in. and you're going to log into GoDaddy. So let me get logged in here. Okay, so now that login information works. So we've got Rojas Home right here. Well, if you're in GoDaddy, this is specific to GoDaddy, but the same principles are going to apply if you have a different domain registrar. You're going to want to change the DNS records or change the forwarding such that it's simple 301 HTML forwarding. And if you don't know what that means, get with somebody at your office that knows what that means, or you can submit it to us and we can get that taken care of for you. You're going to set up the simple 301 forwarding without masking. Now, that is less search engine friendly than the current way that Playster is forwarded using domain mapping. But that's the only option for the command sites. It does not have the option to use domain mapping yet. They tell us that it will eventually, but at the beginning, if you have a custom domain and you want it to point to the command site, this is the only way to do it. So if you have GoDaddy, this is specifically how you would do it, but you're going to follow these same principles even if you don't have GoDaddy. And you can talk to somebody at your office or send us an email and we can try to help you with that. So here in GoDaddy, you'll find the domain that you want to change the settings for. We're going to go over to DNS. And on the DNS page, depending on how your site or your domain is forwarded right now, you may have different things showing here. If your site is currently connected to, or excuse me, your domain is currently connected to the Playster site, we've already at the beginning went into Playster and disconnected the domain on that end. What we're going to need to do on this end here in GoDaddy is reconnect the domain in a little bit different way. So if you have Playster and your domain is pointed at Playster right now, this A record for @ is going to be pointed to an IP address. And I don't remember what that IP is, but it's going to end in .141.142. We're going to need to change that. We're going to change that to, what are we going to change that to? Actually, no, sorry, we don't have to change that. That's going to be automatically changed. We'll get to that later. Actually, the only changes we're going to have to make is with this CNAME here. Again, if your site is connected to the Playster site, and we're going to change the CNAME for www. If your site is connected to the Playster site, in place of this @ symbol here, it's going to say domains.myrealestateplatform.com. We're going to need to change that. So we're going to click on our pencil icon over here on the right, and we're going to change where it says domains.myrealestateplatform.com. So that's currently connected to Playster. We're going to change that and just put in the @ symbol. It needs to point to this A record, and then we'll just save that. So that's it for the complicated DNS stuff, and that's not even that complicated. The last thing we'll need to do is down here at the bottom right for forwarding, we're either going to need to add or edit any forwarding that's already here. So if you already have forwarding, you'll click on your pencil icon to change that. If you don't have any forwarding set up here, we're going to click on add. And we're going to forward this to that domain that we claimed or that is currently in place in Playster, the one that ends in .kw.com. So this would be like, what is this guy's name here? Victor Rojas. So this would be like Victor Rojas.kw.com. Or if it was Scott, it would be scottleroymarketing.kw.com or johnsmith.kw.com. That's what would go in this box. And it doesn't need the http:// That's automatically going to be added over here in this dropdown. And you do want to leave it without the S. You don't want to choose the S here because the site doesn't have secure stuff right now. And if that changes, if it causes issues, you can come back here and change this to the S. It's really quick to do. For forward type, you are going to be permanent instead of temporary because we don't know how long this is going to last. And then for settings, we're going to choose just forward only. We don't want forward with masking. We want forward only. In our experience with forward with masking, it messes up like search structure and things like that. So we want forward only. And then we'll save that. It tells you we will update the name servers if you aren't currently with us. So when we save that, it's going to automatically change this A record right here. We actually don't need to change that. And we already changed ourselves this CNAME record for www. And that's it. That's all you have to do to change the forwarding to your current Playster site. You're not going to see that custom domain in the address bar anymore. You're going to see the playster.kw.com address. But the upside of that is when it switches over to command, it's going to go over to the command site instead of the Playster site. And now that's all set up, ready to go, done for the 22nd. And you can follow those similar instructions, same principles on whatever domain registrar you have. Okay, so Viewer 253 says, I have a third-party website not through KW as I came from a different company. Do I do the forwarding the same through GoDaddy? It sort of depends on how your custom domain is currently forwarded to your third-party site. If it's using the domain mapping similar to the way that Playstore was, you would need to change, again, that CNAME record for www and have that value to be at, and then do that same forwarding down here at the bottom. So you would do those same steps. But if you're keeping that third-party site, you don't want to change anything with your domain forwarding. It's only if you're wanting to go away from that third-party site to the command site that you would want to change that domain forwarding. And they say they are leaving that site. So then, yeah, you would want to do the simple forwarding, the 301 forwarding. That's this code right here. To change that forwarding from your current site over to the Playstore site. I don't know. You'd have to check with the provider of your current third-party site if there is a site to forward this to for the time being. But if you just want this to not go anywhere, oh, one warning here, 4253 here. If you do put in your .kw.com claimed address from that Kelly guide, until the 22nd, this is not currently going to go to your third-party site. Instead, it's going to go to the main KW.com homepage. It's not going to go to your site, nothing to do with you. It's just going to go to KW's site. So what you would want to do is wait, if you've got that third-party site, wait until the 22nd to do this forwarding if you want to have that third-party site active until the 22nd. That's going to do it for our prepping for the new Command Sites class. Everybody have a great day.